All right, this is a really quick and dirty talk on NLP, which is just using computers to basically look at text and what can we get out of that. And from an exploration context, what I've done here is based around what I do, and it's purely built to make my life easier. So I'm not sitting up till 2 o'clock in the morning reading company reports and things like that. So like I said, NLP is just getting computers to read text. There's a whole nother field on AI and whether it's understanding the text and things like that. What we've found in a geological sense is that a lot of the off-the-shelf systems that are doing this, they're trained on very large amounts of broad data. And so they might be able to string a sentence together like that, but when you start throwing specialized geological terms at it, it falls over really quickly. And we'll touch on that a little bit later too. So what do we use it for in exploration? What do I use it for? So summarizing old company reports so that we're not sitting there having to read the whole document to see if there's something interesting in it. Can we get something that'll just tell us it's worth reading? Obviously, finding interesting information, you know, that little one bit of thing that you find in a report that you go, yeah, this is worth looking at. And, you know, hidden data in unstructured data. So unstructured data is like, we'll touch on this, Queensland Mining Journal, you know, from 1901, just sits in a folder. They're all there. There's like over 1,300 of them. They're not named. They just have a CR number. So if I say to you, oh, you know, you should have a look at, you know, the 1910 edition, you've got to go through each one till you find the 1910 edition. So the data is important. So this is a word cloud. So there's computer programs that can read the text and display it like this, and it'll show you, you know, the most used words, and you can change it around and you can remove things that aren't useful, like and, the, at, it, and numbers and things like that. But sometimes you look at this, I tend to reverse this so that the least used words are actually made big, because I'm looking for that one mention of tellurium or something like that. You know, it's coarse, but sometimes it can be good because it's quick. You know, oh, that's interesting. So OCR, which is optical character recognition, that's how we turn picture text into computer talk, basically. Again, the off-the-shelf systems, this is from the Amazon website, because the Amazon system is what's done all the stuff in the GSQ library, how they've OCR'd it, and it's terrible. Again, the problem with it, it works really good if it's formatted and really good quality, and, you know, it was a Word document yesterday, it'll probably OCR really well today. Again, when you're going back to 1900 and, you know, it's a dodgy PDF that's been badly scanned, it really, really struggles. And here you can see, so that one there, it's readable just, but it's hard to read. Then you get into this sort of stuff where it's just adding numbers and letters and all sorts of things, where it's, you know, I don't know what a puck slick is. And then, you know, we can read that, but the computer couldn't, so I just saved it as a picture. So that could be the critical piece of information that you need, and it couldn't read it, so I just saved it as a picture and you won't see it, sort of thing. A couple of other ones. So you've got, you know, it's putting text, it's trying to format it, but it's just dumped text over each other. This one here, I'm not even sure what's going on here, because we did a word search for it in Word and it's highlighted all this white space. So again, you know, these are all the problems that we got. So in collaboration with QUT, we decided to make our own OCR software that was basically trained just on geological text. So we used the South Australian Geological Survey database, because at that time we could get that really easily, and it was quite big. So it can recognize text, handwriting, and poorly scanned text. There was a lot of handwritten drill logs in that database, which I thought would be a nightmare, and they were. But over time, because you constantly, you know, it'll recognize it, and then you change it to what it actually is. So it learns and learns and learns and learns. And so it's basically learning handwriting from the pictures of the handwriting to get better. But you're using something that is, you're training it on what it's going to be used for rather than training it on a whole bunch of stuff that it's never going to see. So yeah, much better accuracy with that on geological texts and things like that. So, and it's not only just the text that it's looking at, but it's the formats and things like that and the way that it's done. We had, I think, 12 students from QUT working on it, 12 master's students. So from a business point of view, it was a really good deal for us. So, but, everyone learned a lot out of it, sort of thing. So onto a use case report. So what do I want to do? So again, company reports. I want to summarize the report. Tell me if there's something in there that's worth actually reading the report. Am I going to read these 80 pages and see what's there? So to train on that, and this is heavily biased because I'm training this for what I look for. So, you'd probably look for something different, but this is what I look for in these reports. So I go through and I highlight passages or parts of those reports that I want it to find and put out. And then, what's interesting to me. And then, so we do this over a huge number of reports, which I used reports that I'd already read, so I already knew where the bits were, and that were also successful reports, if that makes sense. There was stuff that, yeah, we did go and have a look at the thing. So a little bit biased on that front, but, we knew that that's what we wanted the outcome to be, sort of thing. So the ML summarizes the report, and that's what it breaks down. So that report was like 40 pages. It broke it down to that, which it doesn't seem like a lot, but that's enough for me to go, yeah, I want to have a look at this. And then, so we dig into it a bit further, and yep, there's 2 meters at 6% copper in there. Okay, yep, now I'm interested. Now we'll take that further. And we actually pegged this piece of ground just off that. So, or, part of that. But it also shows that when the department OCRs it, they just OCR that main report. See how they're not doing any of the other things? So again, you've still got hidden data or hidden things in these things that you won't see in that primary OCR data. And so the holy grail is to have a system that reads the whole lot. Doesn't OCR, it just reads the whole lot. So that's sort of where we're going to sort of next. So use case 2 is unstructured data. So what I want to do, I simply want to find information on a topic. So I just, I have a whole bunch of data that I want to know something. How can I find it? I also want to know if there's something in there worth reading as well. So this is on the Many Peaks mine near Gladstone. So I just want any information on the Many Peaks copper mine, anything at all in the Queensland mining journals. So I know the information will be about 2% or less of the document because, the document covers all of Queensland for a 4-month period. It's just going to be a write-up. But what we found was that there's information in these Queensland mining journals that don't make it into company reports or other GSQ reports because it's just the warden going around and seeing this and seeing that and making some notes and things like that. So, and there's a lot of history in it, especially for these historical ones where you don't have a lot of actual written history. You're getting those little dribs and drabs and things like that. So the other thing is that I decide that I'll read all the results because I don't know what's relevant at this stage. We're just starting on the project. I need to know all the information. So I don't know what's relevant. I don't know what I'm actually looking for until I find it. So just on the Queensland Mining Journal, been in production since 1900, the oldest journal around in Australia. So there's over 1,300 issues and they're scanned PDF files. So some are in good condition, the majority aren't. And then OCR'd into a Word document as well. So as you can see, there's lots of them. There's no names. They're not particularly in order. I believe they're trying to be, but we've seen some that, 1926 is next to 1936 and things like that. So just little errors like that. But again, if I told you to find the 1910 edition in that, it's going to take a while because you've got to sort of guess where you're going to go and then just start reading them and hope for the best. So the algorithm that we're using on this is called the BM25. Clever name, best match. And it's probably the 25th time that they tried that algorithm to make it work. So it works on term frequency. So the number of times that the words or the phrases that you're looking for occur in that document. Problem with that, with what we're doing, is we already know that the search term is probably going to be about 2%. So there could be a problem with that. And the other one is inverse document frequency. How important is your search term in that document? Well, again, it's only making up 2% of that document, so it might not be that important at all through it. So how it works, so tokenization, it breaks up all the words into word, comma delineated words. So it just, each word has its own space. Removes special characters, so full stops, any signs, any characters, things like that, and there'll be a problem with that I'll talk about in a minute. Removing stop words, so unimportant words like the, and, X, all that sort of stuff, removes those. And then normalization, so, and this is another problem, it will try to respell words. So it's sort of designed around text speak today, where, BRB and LOL and things like that. It can actually change LOL into laughs out loud, which is what someone wants. In our case, that can be a problem, because if it doesn't know geology words and it sees something different, it's going to try and change that back into a word, maybe it changes nice into nice. Yeah, problems like that, which radically change what you're looking for, So yeah, removing the special characters. So that's part of that OCR text from before. So you can see that we would lose a hell of a lot of stuff all through that. As you can tell it to remove numbers as well if you want to, things like that, but we leave numbers in because of grade and stuff like that. And then of course the other one, normalization. So here you've got the OCR software can't spell these words. And then so you've got the next piece of software that's going to come over top of that and try and change that into something else, like your autocorrect on the phone trying to change it. So again, that can be a problem. So these are all the things that by training it with geological knowledge that we can help sort of mitigate those problems. So we've built this on our platform. So we've got all the data in there. We can just go in there, search what we're looking for. And then so it comes up with, that's the number one result. So the date is pretty good. So you'll see on this, like it's got a score over there, how it thinks that each of its results should be ranked. And again, the problem is with that ranking is that I don't know what I'm looking for. So how can it know what I'm looking for? So we still need to go through each one of these, but we've gone down from 1,300 to about 12 documents. So the first one's pretty good because I know that around 1910, 1911 was when the mine started operating. So therefore, okay, we're in the right sort of time frame. And then we go through, I like to go through to the actual PDF, not the Word document, because it's a lot easier to read. And so you've got Mr. Ball, government geologist, writing about it. So it's a pretty good start to where we're going and what we're doing with it. So that's about it on that. It's sort of quite simple stuff. It's not black boxy or anything like that, but the key is in tuning it to suit. There's a lot of these tools that are available online. Amazon have them, Google have them, Azure have them and things like that, but they're not trained on what we need them. And it's just those little bits that you need to tweak it to really get the results out of it, because you don't want it to summarize that document and you go, oh, that's not worth reading. And that was the document that you really, really needed to read, sort of thing. So the way that I look at it is that it's best to err on the side of caution. I'd rather read that 20-page PDF and go, oh, well, that's no good. But at the same time, with the unstructured data, if that says in that summary, Santos drilling for oil, well, I'm not going to read it because it's probably not related to what I'm looking for. But if it says Freeport looking for copper or CRA looking for copper, yeah, I'm going to read it, and I might just read it just because it says CRA or something like that. It's part of getting that information out that you're looking for. Yeah, they're a decent company. If it said, XYZ Proprietary Limited, maybe I won't, because I don't know who they are or what their work's like. And if I'm, I'm looking for something specific, I might come back to it, I might not. But the idea behind it is speeding up that process of, do I read it? Yep, okay, it's good, it's bad, it's not. The benefit I have is that I can go back and tune the algorithm. So if I can see it start to wander off or it's starting to throw stuff that's no good, we can actually go back and retrain it. Or with the newer report styles, templated reports and things like that, okay, now we can start looking for you know, this data and that data and things like that. We started doing some GIS stuff, you know, looking for latitude and longitudes and things like that, just to see what that was like. That was a nightmare. Just because, you know, local grids, the bane of my existence. Yeah. And of course, you know, we actually had it so that it would plot stuff up. And we're thinking, oh, this is going to be great. Nope. You know, why is this in Tahiti? You know, and because then you've got to dig into it to find out why. And yeah, and companies like Gimpy Eldorado, who were still using AGD66 in the 2000s, because all their other stuff was in that. So, you know, everything shifts and moves, and then just, yeah, it was just a nightmare. So that was a no-go. And that was, you know, you go down these rabbit holes where you think it's a great idea, and then you rapidly find out that it's not, and you've got to sort of dig yourself out. And it's lucky, you know, because we're coding this, you can just block the code out and throw it away, and we'll just pretend it never happened. And then you go back to just the, you know, the basics, well, basically what we've got here, and take it from there.
Warwick, have you considered using the email to translate from other languages into English for technical text?
We haven't, because there's tools out there that can do that. And yeah, for, you know, technical documents, you then have the double problem of, yep, it's in another language. And then, yeah, you've got to do it. We did look at it for a company called AIG, which works out of Kazakhstan. And it, you know, it was going to cost about $100 a PDF. You know, and because you need a human in it, because you need to double check it and things like that. We have had specialized OCR work done overseas where we had a whole bunch of drill logs that were in very poorly scanned PDFs. Using an off-the-shelf, again, OCR system is bad because it gets it into Excel, but then you've still got to go through it. So by offshoring that, you know, we paid some people whose job it is to sit there, and, you know, the OCR would do this, and then they would go through and check it. And the accuracy rate on that was probably 98%, which was pretty damn good for, you know, drill logs done in the 60s. And it cost us $15 a drill log. And, you know, the drill logs are 20, 30 pages. So that economy worked. You know, for ERG, and this, you know, the problem with the ERG stuff was, you know, it's in Russian. Then you've got ERG's head office looking at it, who are in Holland or somewhere like that. And it was just, you know, typical big company bureaucracy nightmare. Oh, why would you charge us that? It's like, well, that's, you know, that's us breaking even on trying to do it. And that was to develop something to keep it going. And it was just, yeah, just a nightmare, but it could be done. So.
Before we get into questions, I'm going to take a moment to thank Warwick for his talk.
Thank you.
Thanks, Warwick. And if people at home, they start typing their messages, and we'll get questions, and we'll get to them shortly. First of all, Christine.
Oh. Firstly, good on you. What a wonderful thing for you to be doing. I suppose the other thing that sort of sprung to mind was that for something like this, people love the 80-20 rule. For doing this sort of work, it's kind of the opposite. It's that actually, exactly. You're going to find the key to unlock everything else in that final 20 or 2 or 2%. You know, you can't really apply that rule for something like this. But anyway, that's more of a comment. But my question is, because I do this sort of work where you're going back through old reports, be them mines department reports or whatever. But you often are looking at very poorly scanned documents. What have you got anything in your algorithm that sort of immediately checks for a slanted text and untilts it for your OCR? We don't, but it can be done. And when it does that, it'll segment the document. So it'll, you know, like if it's been scanned crooked, it'll try and break it up and, you know, look at the, you know, if there's page break or something like that, grab that bit, rotate it and do it. It can be done.
our limitation is 12 master's students at QT who have this long to get it done.
Yeah.
So we have to hone the projects down to what's achievable. You know, we have meetings and stuff. Oh, it'd be great if we could do this and that and that and that. And then it's like, well, what can we actually do?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this much.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you roll on with that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, excellent.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
So, Warwick, how long would it take to scan an entire geological survey database?
Tell you in about 6 months. Look, and you know, for those playing at home, there is a very good product out there. I haven't used the product. I think it's called RediExplore. Yep. You know, they are the masters in this. So, yeah, direct your questions to them. You know, the reason that we're doing it is I have this problem. You know, I solve problems that I have in exploration. So I have this, I solve it because I'm not going to go and pay RediExplore if I can get 12 students to build this for myself. As well as with a lot of these tools, it's not going to go backwards anymore.
I should do.
Okay, no, doesn't matter. With a lot of the tools that we're building through OreFox, it's more about, it sounds wanky, but helping the industry. Like something like this, you go, how do I charge for this? You know, there's a premium product out there. Found it. Yep. So, you know, there's a premium product out there. You know, it's like kind of, I guess, like Leapfrog and, you know, one of like Voxeler or something like, you know, one of the free 3D modeling softwares. It's like, if you want the premium one and the RediExplore is great for that, use that. But for the everyday who you just might want to, like I want to do, go through the Queensland mining journals because I need some information on that mine. That's it. I'm not going to pay money for it. I'd rather just troll through it and find the 1910 one and work my way forward from there. But if I can make a tool out there for people just like us, where you can go, oh, I can just use that thing. I've seen it. I'll put the term in, bang. It's not the be all and end all. And if you have a look, the RediExplore one, you know, they can pull out grades from reports and everything like that. And it's a fantastic tool. And, you know, we could probably get there as well if I can get another 12 students. But, you know, at this stage, we're not. So, you know, we develop things a little bit slower. Obviously, we're very focused on Queensland because that's where I am. And, you know, just like everybody else, we're all fighting for ground and hoping to find the next deposit and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, doing something like this saves you that little bit of time, which means I can read a few more reports and, you know, peg a little bit more ground and things like that. So using the Queensland mining journals was a really good start because it's a small amount of information, but it's very intense information. So if we can extract stuff from that, that's great. And then we can start on with doing the whole lot sort of thing. South Australia is good because there's full bottle access to all of their information quite easily. And that's why we use that for training. And I'm pretty sure Queensland has that now as well because it's just sitting in an Amazon S3 bucket. So we basically write the code and tap into that.
You can upload to a bucket you can't download yet.
Yeah. So
what's the next logical bolt on to this? So you can read it, distill it down to several reports. Is there a next something that you see that you will now look at adding to this?
I think the next stage is sort of the merging of the two sort of thing and just randomly searching everything for interesting stuff. And then, you know, not randomly searching, but again, you know, I'm searching for copper. That's probably been drilled by somebody, you know, using those search terms over a big area. You know, a lot of the Queensland stuff now is very coarsely geolocated. You know, you can click on the little box and it brings you back all those reports. But there's still a lot of chaff in that as well. So like, how do we get rid of that and just get down to the wheat? So, and then, you know, like you know, can we fix the OCRing of it, you know, to straighten it up and things like that. So again, we're really lucky with the QUT stuff in that we can take projects. Like currently we have 35 students working for us as part of their either capstone project for their degree or their master's projects and things like that. So yeah, we have, I think, 8 projects going across all different things like that. And it's really good for us because we can sort of wildcat some of that stuff because you can go, Well, it doesn't make, I'm not going to pay to develop that, but if I can get someone else to develop something, it's worthwhile in doing that. Like one of the projects we've got them doing is called miningevents.info. And because there's no central repository for all the meetings like this, all the conventions, everything like that, we rely on their advertising getting to us to know that we want to go to that convention or that talk or something like that. So why not just have them all in one spot? And we push it all out to all of them and say, look, if you want your event, it's going to be advertised for free. You build up a following because everyone knows, oh, I can just go there and see what's on. And it's really simple and there's no money made out of it, but it's a problem that I have. It came from, hey, look, are you going to that conference on Tuesday? What conference? Because it just hadn't got through to me. So it's like, well, why not just have the one spot, And we can try all that little stuff just to help people get going and help the industry sort of thing. So, and it helps the students too.
So presumably you could then go to the ASX, download all the reports and presentations and do the same thing.
You could, and I know there's people working on it. The ASX, I know, is fairly strict on scraping their site, but other sites that might rhyme with bot-snotter aren't as good with securing data.
Yep.
So people can go in there and scrape that, not have to talk to the ASX about it. We've been approached with it, and it's just that little bit too far away from what we do.
Yep.
It's doable, and there's probably companies out there that do it that won't tell you that they're doing it. But it's just not in our field sort of thing.
Any other questions? Here's one.
Yeah, I think you've touched on it before. Have you had any ideas how you commercialize this software? Are you looking at like a subscription package?
No,
or
this will just be
project
free.
by project, yeah.
Yeah,
free.
Free, yeah. And from a business point of view, the idea of making it free is that it builds trust. As we come out with, because we've got a lot, we have black box AI tools and lots of cool and stuff like that. But it's really hard to build trust in an industry that's full of charlatans at times for that sort of stuff. So, by building tools, one of the other tools that we're building is just a visualization tool for your assay sheet so that you're not putting it into Excel. You just upload it, select what you want done to it. It'll clean it, visualize it, and do a bit of work and just spit you out the reports. Other things like, a really basic project management system built around exploration. Tells you when your tenements are due, you've got to write that report, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Really basic stuff, but there's no tool out there, simple tool like that to do that. So by building them all in one place, and because we can utilize the students at QUT to do that sort of stuff, it makes it really easy for us. And then further onto that, what we're going to do is open up the platform to other geoscientists and PhD students and professors and things like that in unis where, they do this fantastic work and they write their paper and they get published. And then that's it. Because we don't have time to learn Python to implement that. We just need the answer. I need the answer yesterday. And so by building the platform like this, we can go to third parties, we can say, that's a great idea. How about we put it on the platform? When someone uses it, you get paid for it. So now they've monetized their research and everybody gets to use it. So.
Yeah, I think the fact you're focusing on Queensland Mines or Queensland Reports at the moment, and you've mentioned rediscover, you've sat on a huge amount of relatively cheap labour at QUT. So you could potentially just have bolt-ons to their system. They come to you with specific projects and you've got 25 really smart students that you could build something in a matter of weeks. That's something that you could do.
Oh, it's not a matter of weeks. It takes a long time because
in comparison to
to others,
to others.
Part of the problem with these projects through the unis is that they have other uni courses as well. So these courses run for 6 months. So like 2 of the websites that we've got in them build have taken 6 months. They're awesome when they build them, but it just takes a long time, because it's only part of their uni degree and stuff like that. You know, the master's students are a bit quicker because it's, you know, that's what they're doing. But there's more, you know, the other courses than there are master's stuff going through.
Warwick, thank you. Excellent talk. I just want to revisit what was in some of the blurb that came with tonight's talk. And there was the comment that companies are advertising the fact that they've got their next mine sitting in the data that they're trying to assess. And I just sort of want to try to understand where this fits into that whole process, because as far as I see, and excuse me if I've understood incorrectly, but this is identifying that there is potentially some data available. There's no linkage to whether that data is useful or interesting or valid or prospective even. So what's the next step there? At the moment, I'm understanding that that next step is human.
Yeah, yeah. And this is really intelligence augmentation. You know, it's helping us get there quicker, sort of thing. You know, there's no sentient computed thing behind it, you know, that's going to do any targeting or anything like that. But what we can do, think of, and I think it was Rio that says, we know we've got a tier 1 deposit in our data somewhere. I looked for the quote, but I couldn't quite find it. But you could take a system like this and drill it down onto a smaller database like Rio's and get a lot further, a lot quicker, because, you know, they'll probably know what they're looking for. They have a bigger team of people and things like that. So as we go along and as we bring more people into our organisation as well, you know, we can start saying, well, Pete, why don't you come in and, you know, you're going to highlight these documents for me and tell me what you look for, you know, and so build that into it. So like I said before, this is heavily biased for what I look for, you know, especially the first one, because, you know, that's my problem that I have. So I fix that problem. And so if we can bring more people into it and start training it on a much broader church of what you might look for in these documents, yeah, it's going to get a lot better and a lot better and a lot better. But at the end of the day, it's still about the geoscience reading it, you know, do I read this document or not? And, you know, is it worthwhile, sort of thing.
Yeah, I disagree fully. And again, this goes back to what we've talked about many times before. I see this as the software driving exploration rather than having modern exploration principles using a tool. I thought it was a brilliant approach to software, because I haven't been very good with OCR, but you've leapt forward. But when things are written, like the Queensland Government Mining Journal, the context they were done under is so biased that you've got to have that limitation in. And they're generally going to things that have already been found, not new things. And if you take Century and Roseby and Ernest Henry, you'd never find them just by looking at old data. You've got to have a value adding in the modern sense. And I actually wouldn't use this as a tool. And one of the reasons is, I know that's a bit hard, but we've spoken about this before without any animosity. It's just two technical people talking. The English language isn't like a set of instructions. It's interpretive, it's for a purpose. If you went into the ASX, knowledge about their prospects, they're, okay, I won't use lies, but they're certainly coloured up like you wouldn't believe. Now, and Many Peaks, you know, there's two people in the room here that worked at Many Peaks before. Put your hands up. So I know a lot about that. And at one stage in the late 70s, it was a Beshi type, because that's what the market wanted. And that black basalt, or diabase, if you go back and choose words of the older ones when you started, they reckon that was black shale, and that was good enough to raise some money. And that was Sivert and his mates. And so if you go searching that, you're going to be totally misled. Now, as a senior explorationist, it's what the reading between the lines is the power of moving forward. And I don't see any automated system being able to work out the limitations of the data set you're searching and picking out words for. And you basically got to spend the time to read the lot in case there's a snippet there. And I do understand the 2% because that's important, but I can't
You
see
see, that's
anything but a
this-
human brain doing that.
But that's exactly what you're doing, because the second one is it's just bringing you the information for you to read and process.
No, but there's a step in there that I don't want.
Which one's that?
Not reading the full report and getting the nuances and the. I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the deposit. So if I put chalcopyrite in, thinking I'm looking for a copper deposit, there could be a whole other series of words that I haven't thought of, but when I read it, I think, this is adjacent to an AIG.
Yep.
And the machine can't do that. It hasn't got the words in the text. But it has.
Yep.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. And,
But it's,
I-
you know, these are tools, you know, based around what I do to speed up the work that I do. And that's all they are. You know, they're not trying to interpret anything, you know. For someone to sit down and go through those Queensland mining journals and pull out every mention of many peaks, I know how long it takes because I started doing it. And that's why I got frustrated with it. But even though, let's say 90% of it's shit, you still need to read it to say, well, it's not worth anything. And so without having that knowledge there and a faster way to find that, then what's the point? You know, if you read it, then you get to make the judgment. Now, somebody else might read it and judge it completely different, or someone might have a different interpretation of it, you know, as we know with interpreting that sort of stuff. But this is just about getting you the information that little bit quicker.
So back in the old days when there used to be a library down here,
Yep.
yeah, some of us might remember it. There used to be a card system and in it, it was called an index. What the hell happened to the index and why haven't we gone back to that to solve half of these problems?
Look at, I'm not sure if the picture's in here. Like, look at this, how there's no titles, there's no nothing in this. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, I know that's the drill log and I know that's the main report, but I don't know what that one is and I don't know what that one is. And it's not difficult to get a system to do that and actually index it. And if it was indexed there, then it could be indexed everywhere. So I could go, oh, I want the drill logs for the Pikedale deposit. And then go in and exactly the same as the old card system, look exactly, you know, go straight to what you're looking for and find it, you know. And it's, I guess with these government systems, you know, there's always, you know, a cost.
Are you saying that that card system has been lost?
I honestly don't know. I did ask GSQ about the old archives a while back, and apparently it's sitting in pallets under the core library. So with all the rain, yeah, I hope it's off the floor. Because I used to go through them as well, you know, and because there was awesome information in there. And so, you know, I was quite upset when it was closed. But, you know, whether or not that's there, but, you know, it should be possible with what we're doing even just to go into a document, oh, main report. Okay, well, let's name it main report. Oh, drill log.
That would be a big step. Just
Yeah, I know, you know. Other company that we work for just paid a geophysicist to sit there for about 2 days naming a whole bunch of reports. And you just go, that's just a chronic waste of time and money, you know, for that. You know, I could have got a student from QUT to do it. Yeah.
Do we have any other questions from the floor? Just complaints, okay. Oh, this is not the complaints department. I don't know what that is. It's the barman downstairs. He'll listen to all complaints. And I don't see, we have no questions from anyone at home. So on that note, thanks very much to Warwick.
Thanks for your time, everybody.
And thanks to everyone here at home. And we'll see you all same place next month.